As Cameroon approaches the final 2 weeks before August 31 deadline for registration on the electoral list, a significant concern looms the disproportionately low number of registered women on the electoral register. The statistics not only reflects the missed opportunity for women's empowerment, but also poses a threat to democratic fabric of our nation. Despite strides made in promoting gender equality, the electoral participation of women remains a crucial concern, and that's why we're talking about it in this edition of your program, Women and Leadership on Canal the International. We'll be right back. And women's active participation, elections issued with diverse perspective are included in policy making and governance. It strengthens our democracy by amplifying voices that might otherwise be marginalized. Every woman's registration is a step towards rectifying historical imbalances and ensuring that policies reflect the needs and aspirations of all women across the globe, and those in Cameroon inclusive. And if you've missed any of our past editions, you just need to go to Canal the International, you type Women and Leadership, you type the thematic of the day, and you can watch all our past editions and let the conversation begin. And let the conversation begin. We have invited just the right women to talk about this very important thematic, registration on electoral register, and we're just 2 weeks to go, and the end will be on August 31, 2024. And again, we're asking these big questions. Have women registered on the electoral register? Do women know they have change in their hands? They could affect change in Cameroon, and we have invited just the right women. And the first guest on my list, she's just by my right hand side. She's a regular face. She is a political leader. She is called EDITH KAHBANG WALLAH. She is a politician. She is an entrepreneur. She was the only woman or female candidate for the 2011 presidential elections in Cameroon. And in 2008, she was named by the World Bank as one of the 7 entrepreneurs in Africa. Her casket is just so many, but I would like her to say something. Hello. Welcome to the program.
Hello, Maureen. It's a pleasure to be here and to be able to discuss with the other women around the table. One thing is for sure, women are 50% of the society, and we are not going to succeed at anything until women are fully integrated into all the processes, the most important one being the political process.
All right, I wanted to ask a little bit, who is EDITH KAHBANG WALLAH? Can we know other things she does? Because a lot of people want to know, and a lot of people want to find out for how long has she been in politics?
Oh, wow. In politics, I'm actually quite old now. I sometimes wonder where the years went. I got into politics in 2007. Was when I formally joined a political party. But I have to say that my political participation has been very strong from the time that I was really quite young, because we're going to talk today about voters registration, but I do not believe in voters registration like a magic card. What is important is political participation, full political participation. I got into a political party in 2007. I ran for municipal elections and won in 2007. I ran for presidential elections in 2011. I ran for municipal elections again in 2013 and won, because people forget that sometimes.
That's history.
Yeah, that I've been a municipal councillor twice. You know, I think that political participation is important. Why? Because for women, a lot of women feel like this politics thing here, people are kind of wasting time.
And that's what we're going to be talking about. Yes, because a lot of women are scared, and they think maybe you need to be old before you get into politics. And you said something very important. You joined when you were very young. And that's why we have 2 young people here.
I participated in my first protest march. I was 11 years old,
Okay.
and it was my mother who took me to protest.
Your mother?
My mother.
So your mother was already like...
My mother was very politically active, not in a political party, but in terms of the defense of rights.
Okay.
The importance of defending rights.
Thank you so much for those historical facts. We equally have another powerful woman. She's called YVONNE MUMA BIH, founding member of Cameroon Women's Peace Movement. She's equally championing for more women in politics and Cameroon Women Peace Platform. She just won an award, and I would like her to tell us more about that award today. How are you doing?
I'm okay, Maureen. Thank you for the invitation, and I'm glad for the powerhouse who just spoke before me. You know, when you have your big sister on the set, you want to go after that and ask, yes, to carry her bag. So when you carry the bag of the wise, you get wiser. Yeah, YVONNE MUMA BIH. I won a prize, an African Women's Award for mainstreaming gender in all public policies. Talk less of participation. I co-founded a movement, the Network for More Women in Politics. I'm happy it's the topic we're going to be handling today, because I found out that our sisters could go animate the galleries, cook food to serve the men, and were never present when the big decisions were taken. So we founded that movement in order to encourage the Cameroonian woman to come out, not only as voter, dancer, cook, but as candidates.
All right.
And qualitative candidates for that.
And how long have you been in politics, if I may ask?
I was on the streets of Bamenda when the SDF was launched. I happened to have been holding Juliet's hand, who fell. It could have been me. So that's 34 years of my life.
34 years ago, we are having historical figures a year today. And were you at one point scared, or did the man scare you of politics at one point in your time? Or maybe women would say their husband said, I should not get into politics. If you're there, then leave my home.
I went into that space very young, but like some young lady who had lived the two eras in Cameroon. The two post-colonial leadership eras. I found the present government of Cameroon wanting. And I said, my only way to impulse change was joining a political party and being active in the civil society.
But what a lot of women don't have today, a lot of you find very young women who don't want to join politics, we have very few of them, who are into political parties today, and maybe we'll get the reasons why women shy away from politics. We currently have two young persons that I want to introduce. I want to start with, the older ones, those who have been there, cooking the pot for a very long time. And we have Patience DONGMO. She is a teacher by profession. And I don't know, how are you? This is the first time you're coming on the set. How do you feel being beside EDITH KAHBANG WALLAH?
Thank you, Lady Maureen. It's a great pleasure to be on your set today. And it's a great opportunity for me to be close by to such a personality. It's really giving me the joy it takes to participate in giving my own opinion in a moment like this, where we are expecting a lot from us Cameroonians, women in particular.
Have you joined politics? Do you have interest in politics?
Not yet, but I think sitting beside these personalities today, I'm going to have a great impact to that.
So at least you heard them talk, and you're igniting that spirit, like, it's time for me to join politics, right?
It's time for women to wake up. It's a wake-up call for us all.
All right.
Listening to them, it's just giving me the zeal to say, wow, we have been behind, so let's get up, pick our bag, carry the leaders back, and then we learn from them.
All right. We equally have EDIE Chantal. Is someone I've known for a very long time. When you say classmates, we've been on the benches in secondary school, and she's right there beside me. She's not getting old, she's instead getting younger. And she's a photographer by profession, those rare, professions where you find women there, but she's been in there. And I don't know if she has interest in politics. How are you today? How are you doing?
I'm very well, Maureen, and thank you so much for inviting me on this set with this incredible old women. I feel really honored. Thank you. I always say we're just being a human being, you're already a political being, so you must not adhere to a political party to be interested. in politics. So I think all my life, you know, I've been interested in politics. I've always participated, you know, in calls for, you know, not, I wouldn't say protest,
but have you
yes.
joined a political party? Is that where you measure
no, I haven't joined a political,
like adhering a political party?
No, I haven't yet.
Or do you just dream by being at the background?
No, I'm
not at
not.
The forefront?
No, not. You know, like I say, you mustn't be part of a political party to be at the forefront. I would answer a call by Kawala to say, Chantal, there's this issue, let's talk about it. I will come, you know. I have my own ways of engaging as an artist in what is politics, you know, creating spaces where I can share, you know, knowledge on even what our history is, you know, the processes of all the continuities of violences that were inherited from the political era, you know. So politics for me has different connotations apart from being a part or member of a political party.
All right, thank you so much. Before we get into the core of the program, I would like us to watch this report that traces political participation of women in politics in Cameroon. And after that, we'll be right back and we'll continue with the conversation.
About 50.12% of the population in Cameroon is made up of women, according to the World Bank collection of development indicators in 2023. Despite being the majority, the last couple of years has reportedly seen a slow progress in women participation in the electoral process. This is reflected in the percentage of women in political decision-making positions. As of the September 2023 legislative elections, only 56 out of the 180 seats in Cameroon's National Assembly were held by women, that is 31%. This was in the wake of the 2013 implementation of an electoral code that required parties to include at least one woman on electoral lists. In 2020, little progress was observed, where women made up 32% of members of the National Assembly and about 33% of the Senate. Currently, there are 61 women out of 180 members of parliament, that is 33.89% of women in the National Assembly, 26 women out of 100 in the Senate, making 26%, and 10% of women at the head of municipal councils and none at the head of regional councils. However, political observers have regretted that most women in positions of power do not empower their peers. Despite the significant progress of women participation in decision-making, Cameroon's most powerful offices are held by men. There are only 11 female ministers out of a 63-person cabinet and no female governor out of the 10 appointed by President Paul Biya, as well as no female president elected in any of the country's 10 regions. Some women are, however, taking the mold, including political leader EDITH KAHBANG WALLAH, who registered in the country's history as the first female president candidate in 2011 and has been vibrant in the nation's political scene till date. Other opposition female politicians who recently joined EDITH KAHBANG WALLAH in the country's political game, largely male-dominated, include Hermine Patricia Ntomeno Joya, serving as the president of Democratic Union of Cameroon. Another leader is Veronica Tita, the national president of the Cameroon Republican Front, one of the recently legalized political parties. Chua Salome, president of the recently created Movement for National Reconciliation, and Bisa Judith of the People's Democratic Front are also making waves in the country's politics, helping to increase female representation in Cameroon's political landscape. Non-governmental organizations included Lead Girl Africa and Association au Secours des Femmes in partnership with the Ministry of Women Empowerment and the Family in Cameroon are also putting in place mechanisms to increase women and girls' participation in the electoral process. To this effect, they have identified challenges like gender stereotypes, lack of resources, violence, non-inclusive voting polls, sociocultural barriers, amongst others, adding that most women have often been told that they do not belong in politics or that they are not qualified for leadership positions. These organizations hope to come out with a draft law on the institutionalization of quota relating to the 50-50 gender parity in the representation of women in all decision-making bodies such as parliaments, local elected offices, amongst others. As the 2025 elections year approaches, calls for women's increased participation have been re-echoed by women activists with the aim of closing the gender gap in Cameroon's politics by advancing the rights and education of women and girls.
And welcome back. We are just a few weeks, or let's say 2 weeks, or we are counting days to the end of the registration on electoral register, and our interest women. Have women sufficiently registered on the electoral register? Now, I have EDITH KAHBANG WALLAH. You've been following up very keenly. Do you feel that women have that anxiety, that enthusiasm to be part of the electoral process, and again, register on the electoral list this year, 2024?
So I'm going to say, as I started saying, the current conversation in Cameroon, I find it disturbing because there is a discourse that is acting as if having a voter's card is a magic bullet, and that if you have that voter's card, the very, very bad political system and the very, very bad electoral system that we have in Cameroon is just going to magically change, and change will come because you have a voter's card. So are Cameroonian women interested in change? I will say unequivocally yes. I think Cameroonian women are interested in change in Cameroon.
Now, how do you explain that?
Are Cameroonian women active in the political process in Cameroon? I would say again unequivocally yes. In fact, if you look at the last 10 years in Cameroon, the people who have held the political resistance, who have been at the forefront of resisting the fundamentals of the political deviation that our government has taken on, have been women. Look at the Anglophone crisis. Since 2017, you've mentioned YVONNE MUMA BIH with her peace process. She's been part of groups of women who have been resisting. I can tell you from our movement, the Mothers of the Nation, we have been at the forefront. We have been on the streets in Yaoundé. We have faced the policemen. We have been arrested. If I think about the campaigns that we have held online, Bring Back Our Internet was a campaign led by myself, Rebecca Enonchong, a few other women online constantly until the internet came back in Cameroon. After that, End Phone Tax was a campaign led by women. We are just coming out. I was looking at Chantal because I've been in her space, the artistic space that she has. They are doing fundamental political work. Fundamental political work in what way? Being political is part of being a human being. That's what she said. As human beings, as citizens in a society, we are social beings in terms of our relationship with one another and in terms of the social services we need, health, education, and so on. We are economic beings. We go out and work every day. But we are political beings in the way we conceive our society. A lot of times people feel like what we do, those of us who are partisan political actors, is the most important. It's not. If you don't have a political space where people are educated on their political history. Why do I say Chantal's work is fundamental? They work on decolonizing the mind, on us in imagining ourselves outside of the political, of the colonial definition, which was created for us. That means we know our history. It means we imagine something different. We liberate ourselves. When they have done that work, then we, as political parties have space.
All right.
We can get in. So I think that it is important for us not to limit. I know that we are in a pre-electoral year, and I think that we are going to talk about voters' cards.
We need to register now, because after that, women will be left behind. We'll make sure there's time for that.
But Maureen, there again, I talk to you people as journalists. You wait until we are in electoral year, then it's registrar.
But you can't say that, because we're doing multiple stories on that.
We are political beings, and for me, most important in this moment is that women fight the fundamental fight. If you don't fight for your rights, fight for the rights, go and get your political, go and get your voter's card. There's no debate about that. You should have your voter's card, but be ready for the fundamental fight.
Thank you so much. I want to get to Yvonne. She just said something very important, that she feels like, or it's a fact, according to Kawala, that women are involved in the electoral process. But we don't see them on the electoral register. Yeah. They are involved. In what process? If you're involved and you cannot register to vote in a very important elections in the country, then where are the women? Yvonne.
Registering to vote is just one aspect of the electoral process. We are today clamoring for people to have their names on the electoral register because voter apathy has come to stay. Why the voter apathy? I think there are root causes to voter apathy.
You're talking about women here.
Yes, why have women suddenly decided? I want to remind you that in 2011, when she was candidate, women were a majority of the electorate. When you are going to a field, you go there expecting results. The women didn't get themselves pleased by what came out or what happened. So there is a huge voter apathy. How do we respond to that? Tackle the root causes.
When you talk about tackling the root causes,
registration alone,
what are the root causes? Yes,
registration alone is a very cumbersome process. What stops us in Cameroon? We can get a passport the same day or the next minute. Why is it so difficult that we go register and get our cards? Yes, she only talked about 50. I talk about 52% of the population. If that number, critical mass, comes out, we can impulse change. But not only by having a voter's card, going and voting when you already know the results. The process, the electoral process, should be known in advance. I raised this issue here. A woman, why is it only in Cameroon that we don't have the electoral calendar? In life, there's something we call planning.
Calendar stops a woman from going to register.
It does not stop her.
Calendar is known.
There is voter apathy because
the registration exercise was open
accompanies the electoral process.
Since January was opened. We are talking about if we have been
It's not a priority.
Okay.
It's open. We talked about rights. Where is it where you can't even go to the streets to say the bread basket has, it's dwindled to we barely have a meal a day. No woman will live where she can go get food to feed her offspring, her children, to go run after voters' registers. An environment has to be enabling, like my big sister
it's about the
said,
economic empowerment of the woman.
Empowerment. We need so much. That does not stop us. Get the card. I think we should even recommend that when they do ID cards, simultaneously they give you a voter's registration card. Why can't we use that?
Okay.
Even the ID card as voter's card.
I'm sure even Elekam is watching us right now, and we'll take that as a resolution, one of the resolutions. Now, I have Patience here. Have you already started on the electoral list as we talk?
Personally, no.
Why?
I'm still thinking of that. I was hoping to even have a door-to-door registration process, sitting right at my home and having myself being registered online, because the time you get to go register It's a whole process you need to take. You know, in our country, everything takes a longer time. Everything has a process.
So your problem is about time going to register.
The process.
But you have time to go to Njangi meetings, you have time to do other things, you have time to do your personal things.
Those things come with the priorities. What is your priority? Your electoral changes, does it come with being a part of it? They say change is the only constant thing in life. We need to go for change, but the environment in which we live shows us that we have more to give, more to lose than to gain in going to register, losing more of your time to go.
JT, you have nothing to gain going to register. Anyway, I'll come back to you. Let me get to AD Chantal. Have you registered on the electoral register? All right. What's your motivation?
My motivation, it's, you know, I always say.
Since she said she didn't have time, so you had enough time to go register?
Well,
and how many minutes did it take you to register?
It was difficult because, first of all, I did not even know where the offices were. I had to really ask and ask, so it's not easy, first of all, to know. And then I didn't feel welcome at the electoral office. And I remember, because I was with Zachary, who had to intervene for one girl who came and she greeted and nobody answered. So she said, like, you guys need to be more welcoming. So that things like that, you know, I think. And then I remember as well, they tried to tell us that the machine was bad, and I would say that. And, you know, they saw that we were adamant that we're going to register on that day, and suddenly the machine was good. So there's so many things. But what I want to say, I think what stops people, you know, from being interested in elections.
Women.
Well, women, we have a lot of social issues, you know, so many. And there's so many that are even invented and put, you know, in our faces so that we forget the most fundamental things.
That is a problem that will pull a grassroots woman who does not even know what's happening out there not to register on the electoral list, because we have a lot of women in the villages there who have not yet. I'm coming back to Edith Kahbang. Do you think political leaders are playing their role sufficiently to pull out women to go register? Because there should be a problem, because Yvonne talked about it's not the registration now that is important. There's a whole lot of electoral process. It means it had to start long ago before now. Don't you think there was a problem? There is a problem.
So first and foremost, Maureen, what I want to say, and I want to say this clearly for Cameroon, to all Cameroonians, people should stop asking political parties to do government's job. We have a government. You pay taxes, I pay taxes. It is those taxes that run the electoral system. We should stop behaving as if it is the political parties who have some particular responsibility for voter registration. We encourage voter registration. We use our own resources to go out and educate citizens,
and that's the question
on the importance of the political process.
I want to bring back the question.
But any failure, but any failure of people to register to vote is government's failure. Let's not get.
All right, let me bring back the question that as women, we are talking as women now. Let's leave out political parties. Now, what do we do as women to mobilize other women? As role models, as leaders, female political leaders.
I think we have said it very clearly that women should go out and register to vote. I don't think anybody here is debating that issue.
And we are 2 weeks left, or we are days left to that.
Yes, but the registers will be open again in January. Everybody should relax. You know, but I think that she brought up some points which should not be brushed aside. One, you keep going back on women, but Cameroonians are not registering to vote. Let's not act as if they were Cameroonians registering and then women are not
Cameroonians here. But my focus here is on the 52% that make up the Cameroonian population who are women.
So number one is that Cameroonians are not registering, and we should ask ourselves why. And she made the point that, do people believe that the election will produce a result? People want change. There's no question about it.
Is it about believing? It's about registering first.
There are studies, there are so on. No, you will not ask people who have to sacrifice, you said, the time, the energy, and so on. Cameroonians they don't have a lot of time, they don't have a lot of money, and so on. If they don't have a sense that this election could possibly produce a result, that is what is stopping them from registering to vote. You said Elekam is listening to us, so let's talk to Elekam. Let the voter register be transparent. Yvonne is from SDF. I am from CPP. All of us go to the election blind.
And that's why we are calling on the women to register now, because we don't know what is happening ahead of you.
We go to the election blind, meaning that we must fight for transparency of the voters register. Chantal has just said she registered, but Yvonne and I have been to how many elections? On Voters' Day, Chantal will be running all around Douala looking for her voters card, while you will enter polling stations and meet cards and cards and cards lying
Is
there.
that the reason why women have not registered up to now?
It is one of the reasons, absolutely, because if you're
but the same reason affects men too as well.
Women are busier than men. Let's be very clear why women don't get involved. Women are busier than men. Women have a lot of things to do, so they need a little bit more convincing for you to show them that this process is going to work, so that they leave the feeding of their children, the feeding of the men, because you are saying men come home to homes which are magically clean, and there's magically food on the table, and magically children have been taken care of, and magically elderly people have been taken care of, family business has been taken care of. It is women who are doing all of that work.
All right.
So if you want them to leave that work, very essential work of the survival of human beings aside, to go and register to vote, one of the key messages is make the electoral process more credible. As Yvonne has said, why is it that as Cameroonians we can go and get a passport in 24 hours, but then we cannot walk into a polling station, a registration station, and walk out with our voters card? If you did that, believe you me, you would triple the number of women voting from one day to the next. So we should know that we are in a process. Yes, all of us here are saying go and get your registration card. However, we are saying more importantly, the political process needs to be free, fair, and just.
All right, free, fair, and just for everybody. And I want to say again that we're talking about women low participation in the electoral process. You might contradict me. I want to go back to Yvonne. Don't you think that there's a lot of work that is not being done by female leaders like you?
I will just take you back to our answer on political parties.
I don't want us to talk about political parties.
Being a leader,
I want us to talk about us women, what we do to mobilize women.
Being a leader, you cannot go to all the households and resolve their daily issues. We are just coming up with solutions, proposing. Even.
Those are the solutions we want here. Because we want, after this, we want women to go register.
It's only in Cameroon that the voters register, there's suspension. We attain voters' age. So those who are born between August and January, who attain voters, it cannot automatically register. They must wait for January. All of that is twisting, not leveling the playing ground. Cameroonians are politically conscious, but I mean, we all know the results.
All right.
Women have not told you that they don't want the change.
What
we
about
are 52%. We can impulse. We can decide on who becomes president. Just the women folk. If we come up and use
but
our
are the women ready
mass.
for that? Are women ready for that? If
They are ready in the multitasks
electorally.
they do. Go even to the churches. Who mans the churches with the movement? Women. So if women decide, women are just people.
So
they want to play in a level environment. We want those electoral reforms to be carried out. I stand in awe when you tell me at 18 you can go and vote, but you can enroll in the army, defend the state, and die for the state. but you cannot go choose.
You can die for the state,
But you
can't
can choose
the person
who sends you to die.
Who creates the war.
Hello.
And so we are calling on women to effect change.
They will.
It's a wake-up call to all women, because if you're sitting right there, you have not voted, we're calling that you need to go register first, because registration starts now, is a time. I want women, it's not like...
And the electoral calendar, so they are and then extend this thing till...
We're not talking about electoral calendar here. Let's talk about registration.
So
women's
registration, my dear.
Okay, Patience. Now, are you motivated by these talks to go register on electoral list?
I'm really motivated.
Do you have a role model in politics?
Just sitting by me, she's here, and listening to her gives me this zeal to want to tell her a big kudos to that. And they are all here. I would just want to look at their footsteps and say they are doing a great job. It's not easy having to carry all these responsibilities. It's a great thing for a woman who is multitask and to have to be involved in this politics and election, everything that goes with it, the social responsibility of each and every one of us. I want to say I'm really impressed.
Okay, now do you think if you want to join politics and your husband says no, what will happen? Because I know you're a married woman.
The first point is joining politics and my husband says no. It's going to come with how it comes. Is this politics a positive plus in our lives, in our society? We are born to bring in something. If my joining the politics in this season is going to be a startup point for a change, then I'm ready to serve my country and serve my people. I'm ready to go into that and be this person that has come to add a plus. What is the most important thing in life is what have you brought in? What do you bring in?
What legacy?
What legacy are you leaving
behind? But I know a lot of men too who are causing women to shy away from politics. I know men who have divorced their wives because the dead get into politics when they said no, and that's why I'm coming in with that question. Instead, we're going to bring another strategy.
Maureen. Politics is a dirty game, as we say, and for politics, as soon as you raise your head above the table, they'll shut it down. So it will depend on which society we are moving in. Moving in a positive society will bring positive change. But rather, when you are in a system where everybody, when you want to raise your head, you're being shut down, that's where you have to be protected. Your husband will really need to protect you. My husband will really definitely have to ask me to quit because he will want me to be protected. But when he finds out that my being there is going to be a plus exposes me, or maybe brings in a blessing to my society and my generation, I don't think he's going to be against it. But let's just say we are hoping for the best.
I thank God you're sitting beside a powerful lady that I'm feeling the heat that's coming out from you the other way. I'm sure you're going to have a change of mindset the moment you leave here, and it doesn't end here, because I know when you educate one woman, you've educated millions of women out there. I know you take the message out. And now I want to get to Edith Chantal. Don't you think that there's a problem at the base? Because they say you cannot feed a chick in just a day. It takes a very long time. Don't you think grassroots women, there's a problem?
Obviously, there's a problem. You know, like I always say, the problem comes first of all from...
You don't see them involved. They don't even know what's happening. You ask the question.
Yeah,
now,
it comes from precarity.
Now,
they put, you know, us in a state of, you know, where the basic things are what we're fighting for. You know, we're not comfortable enough to become political the way we should be, political in a way that we ask for change, that we question things. That is a question, and that's a big problem here, you know, that keeps us really quiet. And don't forget the strength of this culture of fear. You know, we are so afraid. We're afraid.
But how do we kill that culture of fear? Because some women are just so scared. They don't even want to. Just registering is already a barrier. I don't want to. It's like there's some fire in there that's going to burn you the moment you get into politics. And the women are still alive. They have been in politics for so long, and they are alive, breathing.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but Maureen, let's not behave as if the people are imagining the fear, or as if the fear is something something that is not real. This is something which is real. Of course, we are sitting here, but don't mind. Patience. She may have admiration for my political leadership and so on, but she also hears the day I get arrested. And when she hears that, she thinks, this thing is
that's one of the questions I want to ask. Those negative things that comes along politics.
We must make. That is why we say it is. You know, if we go in and focus only why are the women not registering, not registering, we take it out of a context. With the context in Cameroon is that when you say politics, the day when I went into politics, we were having a conversation. I had fantastic parents. I was blessed with amazing parents. But the day I wanted to join a political party, I joined first and called my parents the day after. Because if I had called them before, they would have discouraged me completely. And when I became a candidate for the first time, my aunt rolled, she lay on the floor and rolled down. Yeah, and said, Pikin don't die, yeah, Pikin don't die. So we have,
because she was scared of what's going to happen to you.
And because it is a political environment, we have just finished with the case of Junior Gombe, 23 years old. When you create a political environment where a child gets picked up from Douala,
And deported.
you do not arrest him in proper form. His mother is looking for him for several days. Then tomorrow you ask a woman why she's not registering. This is the political environment. That is what is making Cameroonians
More
afraid.
people to be scared.
And Cameroonians, as you have said, women have to go over the obstacle of their husbands, the obstacle of their families, the obstacle of this and so on. And if you create an environment of fear, then those people who are blocking them get more powerful. Because the husband says, you cannot be going to something where people get arrested. You cannot be going into something where what will happen to your children when and so on and so forth. So remove the fear.
Okay.
Remove the fear from the system.
All right, we equally sampled the opinion of some women on the streets of Douala. We equally went to the north of Cameroon to see women's interest in politics and also if they have or not registered on electoral lists, their problems, what obstacles, what is blocking them. Let's watch. We'll right back after the jingle.
I don't register my name for election where they can next year. I just wait my voters card now me come.
Since where most of the women they wait now the voters card may come out since as elect come now when you go register they just give you a receipt and they ask you for wait for some time for some months for say make your voters card come out. So women they don't register.
Je suis inscrite sur une liste à la session Bayon. Nous n'attendons plus que nos cartes d'électeurs pour aller jouer notre partition en 2025.
Women they very interested for politics because we don't see say when we not be interested for politics, man picking and they decide for we. So women they really be interested for politics and would do the politics.
Les femmes s'intéressent de plus en plus à la politique. Je prends le cas de Mbanga où on a une femme qui est à la tête de la commune de Mbanga et je pense que sa présence a donné beaucoup de motivation. Mais je vais néanmoins attirer l'attention de plusieurs femmes en leur demandant d'aller s'inscrire sur les listes électorales. Il est temps que nous contribuions au changement. Il est temps que la femme donne son mot parce que le Cameroun de demain ne se fera pas sans la femme.
Je suis incapable de vous dire ce qui fait problème, surtout lorsqu'on sait qu'en 1995, tous les pays, tous les dirigeants du monde entier ont pris l'engagement effectivement d'assurer l'égalité entre les hommes et les femmes. Là, 29 ans après, on constate à nouveau, dans certains cas, qu'il y a eu des reculs, dans d'autres cas, il y a eu quand même des avancées. Parce qu'au plan législatif, on va vous compter un certain nombre de textes qui ont été pris effectivement pour réduire cette égalité. On va vous compter également la scolarisation des femmes qui a été accentuée. Oui, c'est vrai. Moi, je m'intéresse à l'un des indicateurs de cette déclaration de Beijing qui concerne la représentativité des femmes au poste de pouvoir. poste de responsabilité élevé. Et donc, de ce point de vue, on peut effectivement constater que nous avons régressé. Si je prends le cas du Cameroun, et c'est ce que nous avons présenté tantôt, si nous prenons seulement ce qui peut fâcher, les élections récentes des présidents de région, aucune femme présidente de région, aucune femme grande-mère. On a 35 femmes sur 360 qui sont des maires. Donc sur un effectif de 374 collectivités territoriales décentralisées, nous n'avons que 35 femmes et 35 femmes maires au niveau infranational. Ça représente à peine 9,11%. Qu'est-ce qui peut expliquer ça en 2024? Rien. Si ce n'est en réalité le fait qu'on n'ait pas tenu des promesses, parce qu'il faut dire qu'à ce niveau, ce sont les partis politiques qui présentent les candidatures. On ne va pas dire que les femmes ne militent pas. Au niveau des présidents de région, on a vu les femmes déposer les candidatures, on a vu les CAM s'impliquer. Mais bien évidemment, à la fin du parcours, il faut bien que le président national désigne les candidats. Et le président national ici du RDPC, qui est le président de la République, n'a désigné aucune femme. L'UNDP, qui avait une place, n'a pas désigné de femme. Donc on se retrouve avec un effectif de 0 femme sur 10 présidents de région. Mais pire encore, pour vous dire à quel point on ne comprendrait pas, et que j'attaque également ici les promesses, c'est que le président de la République, dans sa profession de foi, a pris l'engagement en 2018 et bien avant encore d'institutionnaliser l'égalité homme-femme. Il a dit dans son discours, dans sa profession de foi, et on se rend compte qu'à la 2e législature du Sénat, il a 30 postes qu'il peut désigner en toute discrétion. La précédente législature, il a désigné 4 femmes sur 30 et la seconde, 5 femmes sur 30. Bon. Si ce n'est pas le fait que les femmes soient victimes d'un coup d'état sexuel, ça pourrait représenter quoi? Rien ne pourrait l'expliquer. On a souvent accusé les femmes de ne pas être diplômées. Elles sont de plus en plus diplômées. Je voudrais vous faire observer que lors des dernières nominations, même dans les universités, j'ai envie de vous dire qu'il y a une femme sur 11. Nous avons 11 universités, il y a une seule femme. Comment expliquer ça? On va vous dire non, c'est une vie créatrice. Il faut attendre, la progressivité est extrêmement lente. Et j'ai envie de dire qu'en réalité, le sort des femmes est relativement scellé. Est-ce que le fait d'être noire, camerounaise, vivant au Cameroun, peut être considéré comme une fatalité? On n'en sait rien, mais dans tous les cas, nous continuons à en parler. Je pense que c'est tout ce que nous pouvons faire. Chacun joue son rôle. Nous, on parle, on écrit. Et puis les autres doivent prendre des décisions. Mais au fond, pour vous dire la vérité, c'est que nous sommes quand même dans un environnement assez inquiétant du point de vue de cette égalité-là, parce qu'on ne peut pas comprendre qu'une moitié, sinon un peu plus la moitié de la population soit retenue pour des raisons inexplicables.
Welcome back. We are almost rounding up, but we still have a little bit of time to talk about solutions here, because I want us to focus on solutions. And what if we have a female presidential candidate in Cameroon, just like in America? Is it going to pull women? If the women hear the next minute that, okay, Yvonne is a presidential candidate, Kawala has been there, if she declares herself again, do you think it's going to pull women this last minute if they declare it now?
Again, that candidacy in which context?
The context always comes back.
Cameroonian women, if they can pull their energies together to put one woman as leader of Women's Association of all their churches in Cameroon. Why can't we pull our resources together behind a female candidate? Or behind, if there is a candidate who comes up with the best manifesto, is he or she going to tackle? We don't vote because of Yvonne's face. We vote because of what Yvonne is going to bring to the table. So that goes for all other elections. Identify the strong women in our communities, our leaders, and why not pool our resources together and push them to represent us in those different spaces.
I was almost like asking Edith Kawala when what was obviously going through her mind when she became the female presidential candidate in 2011, and I know she had a lot of messages, negative, positive.
She had the zeal to propel change. She saw another Cameroon. She was not given that opportunity. We are not giving up.
Exactly. I think that one of the things that I am most proud of, I can tell you, a lot of women got more interested in politics in 2011 with my candidacy. I'm extremely proud of that. Till today, if I walk down the street in Cameroon, I will have an 80-year-old woman who comes and grabs me and
Yes.
hugs me
Yes.
and says, thank you for enabling us to be seen as women. For people
think
to
that
know
a woman
that
can
a
even
woman
dare.
can even
Are we going to have that again
dare.
this year in 2025?
And I'm also excited to have a 9-year-old girl
Okay.
who comes and hugs me
Okay.
and says, my president, my president, my president,
no.
because she sees a role model. And she's, you know, so many little girls say to me, I am going to be president,
Amen.
which means
Yeah.
that she sees the possibility. However, so I think those things are positive, and for those reasons, I will always be for more women in politics.
You
Always.
mentioned Kamala
Always.
Harris. Hillary Clinton had been there before.
Yes, exactly.
Kamala is coming up,
Exactly.
and we have other women
You
in
know,
other spaces.
I
It's a
think it's
process.
important for us to have women
And we're getting
candidates.
to that.
When I was a municipal councillor, one of the things that I did, you talked about grassroots women. I was working with market women. And I got them one day and I said, you know, the council session is a public session.
Go and sit there.
Come to the council session. Those women came to one session, and when they left there, 5 of them were candidates at the next election because they
Super.
said, there is no way. Is this how you are discussing affairs
thing
which
without us?
concern us without us? So I think all of those strategies, educating women. Women are concerned about the education of their children. They are concerned about the health care of their families. They are concerned about the economics of their families. It is important for us to educate women to understand that all those things are decided upon in politics. It is politics that decides social welfare. It is politics that decides the economy of whether you will have a job or not.
All right.
It is politics that, so that education, you are talking, you want solutions.
Yeah.
We must educate women for them to see the link between what they care about in their daily lives and the political space.
All right, we are talking about solutions here. Yvonne, very, very rapidly, since we're talking about solutions.
Yeah, let's look at the bigger picture. Go get a voters register if you can and keep it. Your voters card and keep it. That's the only bullet you can use in changing the narrative. So, while waiting for reforms, don't give up. We've been there 35 years almost.
All right, are you motivated right now to get registered on the electoral list?
I'm motivated, but I want the process to be more easier. I would appreciate if the process is being reviewed and then making things easier and to facilitate life for us all and bringing in a change.
You mentioned her husband. Some men they register the wives and tell them who to vote. Imagine we had a single ballot paper in Cameroon. A woman will be free to go and choose who she wants, slot it in and come back home without anything to show for. An enabling environment is still possible.
All right. Chantal, are you going, like, after this, going to tell more women to go register on the electoral list? It's important for them to give it as a priority.
Well, it's very important because there they get to choose. You know, I mean, when we say choose in this context, it's exaggerated because it doesn't, your voter card doesn't really determine it. But, you know, like we say, the more people vote, the more maybe there'll be clarity, you know.
Right.
And the less people vote, the more power you give to the
Oppressors.
The oppressors.
All right. Thank you so much, Edith Kawala. I would like you to look at that camera. 30 seconds. You're telling a woman out there what she needs to do 2 weeks from now, before August 31, and maybe throughout the electoral process.
For me, it is important for women to get politically engaged. Patient said she wants the process to be better. We've talked about the entire process to be
Briefly.
better, but we make it better. So we need you on board. Don't wait for it to be better. We need you on board for all of us to fight for fundamental rights, for a better electoral process, and get your card. Even with all the doubts you have in your mind about that card, get your card, because it is an engagement into the political process.
All right.
You enter the process, we fight for the process, all of us together, and you know when women decide to do something, we see it through to the end.
Yvonne, just 30 seconds.
Yeah, we
Look
know,
at the camera that way, 30 seconds. You're talking to a woman out there, the camera directly in
yes,
front of you.
Cameroonian women, we are the majority of this country, so we can decide what Cameroon becomes tomorrow. Get a voter's card, and when we get to that bridge, we'll cross. We'll impulse the change to talk for ourselves and not allowing others talk about us or for us.
Patience, your camera is right in front of you. You're talking to a woman out there, just 30 seconds.
Okay, it's if you are just like me, doubting to register, then it's time to pick up and go for your registration, and hoping that we are going to bring in a positive change in our society. Thank you.
Eddie, Chantal, camera is right in front of you. You can see the other way.
I want to tell the Cameroonian woman that we've count on you for change. It is your duty. It's not the duty of anybody else, you know, because that's what you made believe, like, oh, it's for politician. You are the politician who's going to make this change happen. So grab your voter's card and vote.
Thank you so much, ladies, for answering positively to my invitation. We're talking about women and leadership. We're talking about women's participation in the electoral process in Cameroon. We're talking about women's registration on the electoral list, and we are just counting days to August 31. Want every woman to effect change in Cameroon. It's your right to register, and it's your right to vote. It's your right to effect change in Cameroon. And the program was Women and Leadership on Canal International. Thank you so much for watching, and bye-bye.